Okay, here we go. Focus. Speed. I am speed. One mountain. Dozens of rocks to climb. I climb rocks for breakfast. I'm faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning. So Peak is a pretty fun game, and I've had a great time playing it so far. Figuring out a route through the map is pretty fun, but can be goddamn annoying at points. The badges in this game are pretty fun to get, with two of them standing out to me. The first is the Lone Wolf achievement, which I got and genuinely did not think it was overly hard, but the more interesting one was beating Peak in under an hour. And I've got a little experience speedrunning a Hat in Time, but Peak is very different and a good way, of course. And with A Hat in Time, I did it kind of leisurely, not really hard-pressed on learning too much at points because of just how long it was, despite the tricks and movement. And because of that, I'm setting a time limit on myself for this. 1 week to beat Peak in not just under an hour, but 50 minutes or less. And with that, I'd need to shave off over 12 minutes on my personal best, which will be no small feat. And before anyone asks, the category I'll be running is any percent, no major glitches, as it's the most popular category, and the one I believe to be the more fun and interesting one. Alright, I've heard that if you put the subscribe bit at the beginning, people are a bit more likely to do it, so I'll test that here today. But if you liked the video, or if you've liked any other content, please subscribe, because that really right now is the best way to support me and help me in any way. But thanks, and back to the video. And immediately destroying all tension I just built on whether or not this is possible. This is entirely possible to do within a week's time. It's just a matter of actually being able to do it or not. Luckily, I have a trick up my sleeve to help me learn this fast, being incredibly stubborn and being able to pick up on things incredibly quickly, but you know, that's not as important. One more thing before we get into the challenge itself. I've made one challenge video before, the can you beat Atlas using only rocks, but I did not really set a time frame on that challenge, nor did I really have a time-sensitive goal I needed to hit either. And I'm honestly pretty excited to do this, as I've never really done something like this before, so please stick with me on this, and I promise you won't be too disappointed. So before I even really start learning to speedrun the game, I'm going to need to learn a couple things to make sure I know what I'm doing. And going off of what made me think of doing this, Speedrun by Chockler, I know a couple things I need to do in order to be able to get a good run going. And first thing is picking a map. The reason this is important is because, one, it gives you a set place that you can consistently navigate without having to worry about it switching between days. And second is routing the map itself. And this is probably the most important thing besides climbing itself, because routing allows for you to find the fastest path through and gives you a clear path forward without having, constantly be puzzling out how to climb the mountain. And doing this is pretty fun, I mean, for me at least, because it's like solving a puzzle on how to go the fastest. And another important thing to figure out is not just your route, but your backup route and how to work items into that main route instead as well. Quite a lot of things to work with, but not enough to be too overwhelming, honestly. Third thing is practicing said map. Now, this is pretty straightforward, because if I didn't, someone would mention in the comments like, well, actually, you're supposed to practice first before doing runs. Yeah, whatever, nerd. Of course, practice makes perfect, but, doing this also allows for you to really test your route to see if it actually works, and if it does, if it's fast enough. And if it's not one or both of those things, it's back to the drawing board. The final thing is, of course, actually doing attempts. Now, this is the simplest part of the run, as you just gotta put everything together you've learned from before. Now, I believe I've got an advantage in challenges like this because of my memorization skills, and now my friends watching would say my memory is shit, and honestly, I would too, but for some reason, I can memorize certain things really well. But back to task at hand, let's finally get started. Starting off on day one, things are looking pretty good so far. I'm excited to get into this and join the Peak Speedrun Discord just to figure out how to get things started. And of course, things aren't that simple. Oh no, of course they wouldn't be. I decided to downpatch the game for access to a couple tricks and different map seeds, and this whole process took so much longer than it needed to, entirely because I'm just stupid and forgot to install one mod. Not having this one mod caused me grief for like an hour. But finally got things working, so I can dive right into practicing. Problem number 2 is this ugly mug. What am I gonna play on? Like, what map? This also took me a good bit of time to figure out, but instead of thinking, I just went to the speedrun page and picked something. Right now I've downpatched to version 1.6 and I'm playing on level 13, since it seems like a good option, and oh boy, was I right. Well, I could have looked at this top runner's route. I decided to make my own, and in the shore alone, I'm just over 4 minutes, which has shattered my expectations on just how fast I can actually beat this game. Tropics is done at around 15 minutes, and I'm leaving Alpine by the 25-minute mark. And I could already get through Caldera relatively quickly, but I'm finishing it in about 5 minutes as well. And to say the least, I 100% underestimated just how fast I can go. Like, yeah, as of writing this, the fastest run is an 18:47, but there's no way it could come even close to that, right? Oh shit, I was wrong. Like, yeah, I've done a bit of speedrunning before, but oh god, I get it now. Ending day 1, I finished my first full run, and I'll let you guess just how low I ended up getting. And before you do, I did not get a time under 35 minutes. I'm not that good, but go ahead and guess. So my first run was a 38:57, and oh my god, like I knew I could go fast, but not this fast, like at all. Like I knew the first time I beat the game, I could go much faster, but not shave off 26 minutes. Like honestly, I didn't think I'd end up here when I started this morning. I'd end up placing 45th on the leaderboard with this run, which puts me in the top 50 out of 95 recorded runs. So, you know, not an insignificant placement. So, since I smashed that last goal with only like a little bit of practice and dog shit RNG, I'm going to be trying a new goal. So, I'm not going to be setting time-specific goals like I did the first one, and instead be setting leaderboard-specific goals, as I think that might help me try a little bit harder as I'll be actively competing for a new spot. And the next goal I'm going for is 30th place on the leaderboard, as it's very attainable and not too far from where I stand right now. So with a bit more practice, I can definitely get it. And considering how much shorter and less involved this is than a hat in time, plus apparently how well I can do entirely solo, this has motivated the hell out of me to do better. So let's move on to day 2 to see how much I've progressed. Coming into day 2, I'm not too worried about things and am ready to get started. So I did a good job the first day considering just how much more work I had to do then, but I started out my first run confident and lost it on the shore. Okay, whatever, that's annoying, but it's not a big issue. Next run I lost on Alpine. Okay, slightly more annoyed this time since I had a good couple items, but it's whatever, I'll be fine. Third run I died in Caldera because I took fall damage I shouldn't have, and then I got to my lava cycle and just jumped in. Okay, that's enough for now, so I closed the game to cool down because I was getting much angrier than I needed to. And after a good break during the day, I came back to the game a bit more refreshed and composed. I did a couple resets at the beginning because I got some really bad items, but then I actually got a good run going. And I did PB again with a new best time of 35:18.437, but oh my god, this run was abysmal dog shit. Like, I kept falling from small ledges, which cost me some time. And the biggest time loss, though, that I remember was in Caldera, where I set my bag down to grab some food, and it literally just flew away into the lava. Like, I had several good items in there. I had one chain launcher, but that would have been infinitely better than what I was working with, which was jack shit since I got nothing at the kiln and didn't have a backpack to hold more stuff. Because of what items I did end up having, basically routing out the kiln was causing me to probably lose at the bare minimum 2 minutes just here. Like, by the end of the run, I was excited that I set a new PB, but the feeling I knew I could do better was looming over me much more. And that's a feeling I think I was missing when I was playing a hat in time, which was the feeling of knowing I could, you know, like actually improve and lower my time. So while I'd like to grind some runs tomorrow, I can't and still be busy playing board games with my friends, and this sucks for the challenge as now have one less day to lower my times, but I see two sides to this. One is that I have less time to work with, meaning I have less time to improve overall, but two is that this motivates me to really push myself and see just how far I can go in an even shorter period of time. Like I just said, today was skipped because of prior plans, so let's just move on to day 4. Day 4 started off incredibly strong with me being able to PB by just over 3 minutes, now going down to a 32:15, which once again destroys my previous goal of 30th, and as of writing this, has shot me into 21st in the leaderboard. And I got some decent item luck, which let me PB every area, with I think the biggest difference being in the shore where I believe I PB'd by almost a minute. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows though, there were some big problems in the run. And at several points, I've failed to climb several walls, which cost me a couple seconds each, and that definitely adds up quickly. Let's say I cut down the number of climbs, I failed in half, just spitballing, that would probably save me over 30 seconds. As per usual though, Kiln was my absolute kryptonite in the game by a good margin. I missed several climbs, with the most egregious being 2 separate lollipops wasted. The third one was basically wasted too, since when I tried using it, I fucked up the easiest jump of all time, losing me about half the duration of it. And in the same spot, I used a rope launcher and failed to get use out of it too. And just this section alone, I lost 2 minutes, which might not sound like a lot, but let's cut down my time by about 2 minutes and see where I end up on the leaderboard. Oh, would you look at that? I'd be in 13th! I'd be in 13th place! Other than that PB run though, nothing else eventful happened with the rest of my runs, sadly. Now I have to set another goal, because apparently I'm just, too good at this game. On another more serious note though, I think with this kind of improvement, I can actually get a more respectable time. Nothing like top 10 or anything, but I think I can crack top 15. Now my next goal is a sub 30, but the more lenient goal is top 15, which is about 45 seconds of leeway. And it's not a ton, but there's a lot of things that can happen, so with a new determination and fire, let's move on to day 5 and see what happens next. This has been the worst day by far. I have genuinely not been this mad at a game in so long. I literally slammed the shit out of my desk. There were so many points where I'd try and climb a ledge only to barely not reach it, when I normally do, just to fall. And there were a couple runs where this happened. I'd fallen so far, I took damage, it just ruined the run. And the first bunch of attempts saw me getting to Alpine only twice, just to lose it immediately. And this last one, I got insane item luck. 3 energy drinks and 3 lollipops, all within just the shore. I don't know the fastest shore route, which used an energy drink and a lollipop, so I carried most of it for a while. As per usual though, Alpine continues to be my least favorite section in the game by a fucking country mile. It's not even close. And more than anywhere else on the map, I miss climbs I normally make. The worst one being failing the dumbest fucking climb spot, which is just this tiny ass ledge, but takes a bunch of stamina apparently, and I failed it twice in a row, and then not even 10 seconds later, I fail another climb and then lose the run on that climb after that. Like, holy shit, I was so mad during this whole thing, because it's a problem where it's, 100% my fault, but because of the way the game works, like with how the character interacts with the level, it just feels like a game issue 99% of the time, which pisses me off to the nth degree. And I'm writing just after all this happens, so I'm taking a break for a bit so I can come back feeling a little better. So coming back to the game a couple hours later definitely helped me out after taking that break. And your mental state is really just as important as anything else when doing runs. But before I started doing some runs, I did some practice on a new route that the world record holder Chockler uses. Luckily it's the same version and map, so I didn't have to change anything up too much. I learned a new strat in shore that saves about a minute, and then I decided to use this route through Alpine as well, since I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of my own route. And with how I've decided to play, which is a bit less reliant on items right now, I'm a great deal slower, but the route itself is much faster and really more manageable too. I decided I'd keep my Tropics and Caldera route the same though, as I didn't want to overwhelm myself with a ton of new things. But after just a little bit of practice, I got everything down and started doing a couple more runs. And the first couple weren't really amounting to much of anything, with one getting to Tropics, but most dying to me not having the right items on shore. Then I got a really good run, the best pace I've ever had in fact, a 3:30 shore, 9-minute Tropics, and a 15:45 Alpine. Things were looking better than good, everything was going fantastic, and then, just like that, I died because I wasn't paying enough attention to my stamina bar. I was in genuine shock for a second at what just happened, and before anyone says anything, no, I am not throwing for content. I was genuinely upset that this happened because I was so excited to be seeing that I was actually able to go this fast. But once again, the flames have been fanned, and I'm excited to see just how low I can really push myself to go. I've only got 2 days left, and I know my latest goal was top 15, but I'm going to add a little stretch goal and try harder for a top 10 spot. And because of that, days 6 and 7 are going to be interesting. So today was a roller coaster of runs. I had a pretty good run going into Caldera, slightly slower than my best pace yesterday, but only by about a minute and a half, nothing too big. I then struggled a bit getting up the kiln, but it wasn't bad for the most part, mostly just because I, forgot a bit of my route. Then I tried this one climb that I know can be weird to do, and fell and died. I was disappointed enough to get off and take a break for a minute because I could not keep going after that. And when I came back later, I had another attempt going extremely well. Best run I did at this point. 350 shore, 950 tropics, and a 1505 alpine, and eventually a 1905 caldera. Nothing could stop me, and I also got really good items with me. We got 2 chain launchers, 4 lollipops, 1 rope launcher, and a box of thick mints. And the last 2 aren't as important, but regardless, some pretty good stuff. And everything was going great until, once again, I died in the exact same spot as earlier. I immediately thought to myself, why didn't I just use the lollipop? I had plenty of them. I think the reason why I didn't use it though is because I wasn't used to having it at this point and didn't want to mess something up with it. But apparently that didn't matter since I, fucked it up anyways by going slightly too early. When I say if I waited another 2 seconds and I would have made it, I'm not joking. Like, I just got impatient and rushed things since I was definitely feeling stressed because this was the best run I'd been on so far. So part of doing these runs is getting good item luck at the beginning by getting an energy drink and a lollipop and doing the big skip in the shore. And in my opinion, there's really no reason to not go for it since it has such a low amount of time and effort put into it, like 2.5 minutes max if you go for the very last chest. And though it honestly does make the runs a little soul crushing because of just how many resets you gotta do. And I think I had about 15-ish resets in between 2 viable runs, which can equate to about probably 15 to 20 minutes of just resets. I think I might be highballing it a little, but regardless, it kind of sucks. I will keep going for this though, since it does save an entire minute, and my goal is top 15 or again the stretch goal of top 10, so every little bit counts. But that's going to put another sad close onto the day as I once again failed 2 PBs after 2 good runs. And tomorrow though, I'm planning on going all out until I finally get that top spot I'm looking for. I know I did mention it once before earlier, but I did join the Peak Speedrun Discord when doing this challenge as I thought it'd be a good source of info, and I was very right. But I've also met some pretty cool people where we've discussed our own runs, future runs, and goals, and maybe even some different challenges. And 8.5 here wanted to do a fucking blind run. Like, blind is insane, and I definitely let the dude know that he's crazy for this, but at the same time encouraging him to do the run because that's just super cool to be able to do. And his latest attempt, he said he got about 80% through shore, so it's going well enough. I also got reassurance from someone I hadn't even talked to before. Like, that just goes to show just how much of a little community is formed within these games. But okay, now let's get on to day 7. The final day of the challenge, and today is the day I get the new PB. After I got back from work, I immediately got on and started doing runs. It took a minute for me to actually get one going, but when I did, things were going fantastic. By the time I'd gotten to Alpine, I had 2 chain launchers and 2 energy drinks. An absolutely goated set of items to have. Once again though, like a snake rearing its ugly head, I fell and died. This wasn't deterring me though in the slightest. I was still gonna make this happen. Once more, I got stuck in a cycle of nothing burgers, but that wasn't stopping me again. I did get 1 run into the tropics, but died due to barely running out of stam and taking a bunch of fall damage. Another failed run, which, stung a bit, but again, I'm determined to do this today. After a couple more duds, I finally got something going, and oh man, let me tell you, it was good. A 355 shore, an almost new best, a 915 tropics, another huge improvement. Things are looking really good. 15 minutes out of Alpine and straight into Caldera. And I finished Caldera at 1850 and started going into the kiln about 30 seconds later after checking the chests. I nailed the first lolly climb and beeline it straight to the next chest where I get 2 perfect items, a rope launcher and a chain launcher, neither of which I had. The rope launcher I immediately used and the chain launcher right after to skip a massive chunk of the kiln. Things are still looking good. And then I come up to my biggest run killer. This one jump has screwed me over 2 separate times on big runs, so I wasn't taking any chances. I immediately used a lollipop since I still had one and flew through it. Home free, baby. At this point, it was only a matter of what my final time would be. 2 energy drinks later and a jump off the cliff, and we've made it. The final time is, drum roll please, a 27:36, baby. Let's fucking go. This PB was almost 5 minutes of time save, which is insane. Like, that was the good news, though. Bad news is that I placed 11th overall, just barely missing the stretch goal. You want to know by how much? A second and a half. If I'd done literally anything a slightest bit faster, I would have got it. At the end of the day, though, I'm still happy with what I've got and proud to say that I could be considered a top peak speedrunner. Not the best, but, you know, still pretty good. And I still managed to hit top 15 goal, which is awesome. I'm still shocked I got it. And I honestly never thought I'd be able to say that I could be considered a top runner of any video game, ever. This was an extremely fun challenge to do, and I could see myself doing another one very similar to it in the future if there's enough interest in it. And I had a great time learning how the game works and how to better optimize it, as well as putting my knowledge into practice. But that's that, so have a good morning, day, night, evening, whatever it is for you, and I hope to see you again real soon.